Hello and welcome. I'm Kim Edwards, the Global Product Manager with Kemin Human Nutrition and Health. Thanks for joining us for the second part of our sustainability series, where we're going to be focusing on social sustainability as well as our unique spearmint called Numentics, and we'll have Dr. John Greaves talk a little bit more about that. So picking right back up from where we left off, I have two additional guests joining me today. I'll introduce them a little bit more as we go on during our 30-minute conversation. Should you have any questions during our time, please feel free to type them into the question box, and if we have time, we are absolutely going to try to get to those questions. So with that, we know that consumers are making responsible choices, and we know that companies are incorporating more sustainable choices into their everyday practices. I want to give you a couple facts that I thought were interesting to share. According to NBJ's 2020 Supplement Business Report, it indicated that 62% of millennials said that they're willing to pay more for environmentally responsible practices. So products that have indicated, whether it's via social media or on their packaging, that they are environmentally responsible. And 59% of these millennials say they'll pay more for socially responsible practices. So this is really important for us to communicate and why we're doing this today, Kemin's practices. It goes another report, the Innova Market Insights 2018 Consumer Survey also shared that 2 in 3 U.S. consumers expect companies to invest in sustainability. And so that's why we're here. We're going to share more of that information. And to get started, uh, we are going to be bringing on Lauren Burt first. She'll be focusing more on social sustainability. And then, as I mentioned, John will be focused more on our botanical program with the emphasis on our spearmint. So to get us started, I'd like to share a little bit about Kemin. It is still a family owned and operated company doing business almost 60 years now. We have over 2,300 employees and doing business in 120 countries. So this business is rooted in science and is one that sustainability is not unusual for us. As a matter of fact, if you read our vision that you can see on the screen here, uh, our vision states we strive to sustainably transform the quality of life every day for 80% of the world with our products and services. So really that is something that we live and breathe, and we're going to bring Lauren on to talk a little bit more about that. So Lauren, one of the questions that we get, and these are questions that Kemin gets many times. And so social sustainability can mean different things to different people and to different companies. Can you share with us what that means to Kemin?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Kim. At Kemin, we are a company that really understand that sustainability is so important, and it's about meeting the needs of the present without jeopardizing the future. And last year in 2019 was when Kemin really formalized our sustainability program, our strategy, and we really wanted to focus on 3 things. And those main 3 things are about healthy people, healthy planet, and a healthy business. And we call it our triple bottom line approach. And I think often when people think about sustainability, they think only about the environment or the planet, which obviously is a huge part of sustainability, but also we have to think about healthy people and how that correlates with a healthy planet. And then also as a company, a family owned and operated company, we have to think about a healthy business as well. So today I'll highlight our focus around healthy people. And this slide shows an example of how the healthy people, the healthy planet, and a healthy business, all 3 of those really overlap to formalize Kemin's sustainability efforts and initiatives. And looking at this, we want to make, oh, sorry, go ahead, Kim.
No. I said I think that's great, and I know that our customers should be interested in hearing this. So please continue on.
Sure, thank you. And a piece of this as well is about social, financial, and environmental sustainability as a company, but then also all the people and the customers that we serve around the world. And we know that now more than ever, we have to focus on people. And I think recent events in 2020 have really heightened our efforts on focusing on our people internally at Kemin as well.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate that. And every time I hear you give this presentation, I learned something new myself. So I really value it. So when we talk about social sustainability at Kemin, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Definitely. Most recently, Kemin has been very involved, as many of you on this call today have been probably as well, in managing all things COVID-19. We know that not only is this affecting North America, but it's a global situation. And our focus has been on our employees and making sure that they are healthy and they are safe. Kemin is an essential business. We are in the global food industry, and COVID-19 has brought to the public awareness how important manufacturing, production, food ingredients, and essential businesses to the world. And we really wanted to focus internally at Kemin on our people. And we knew that it was so important to support all the communities that Kemin resides in. We have a philosophy of thinking globally, but acting locally. And so we wanted to make sure that not only were we keeping our employees safe and healthy, but also able to support all the communities that have really struggled around the world due to COVID-19. Starting earlier this year, Kemin instituted many policies and protocols for our teams. We did a mandatory work from home, that when people were able to, mandatory temperature checks when people were coming into any of our sites and our offices. And we also donated more than 10,000 items of our own PPE equipment. Kemin being a company founded in science, we have many laboratories and production facilities that people wear the same type of PPE that healthcare workers use. And we wanted to make sure that we were supporting those essential workers that were keeping everyone safe during COVID-19. In April of this year, Kemin implemented a $1 million bonus program for our employees, especially our essential employees. And to date, we've paid out about $1.9 million to those team members, because frankly, those are our team members that cannot work from home. They are essential to our business, and they are the ones who continue to allow us to serve our customers, who in turn serve consumers and are able to have products on the shelf that feed not only a population in North America, but around the world. So we really wanted to support them in all of their efforts. And in the community, we took a lot of action to support local food banks. Globally, our teams in Belgium and Italy, China, Singapore volunteered their time. They gave their own dollars that were matched 100% by Kemin to support local hospitals. They sewed masks that they donated, and it was really a global effort that Kemin supported. Again, being a family-owned and operated company, I think COVID-19 really brought to the surface how important getting back to the basics can be for all of us as humans, and making sure that our communities are sustainable as we all face this global pandemic.
And I tell you, I really appreciate you sharing that. I couldn't be prouder myself of how Kemin has treated me as an employee and our community, and our team in the plant has been able to keep up with deliveries to our customers. So we really appreciate all of our team members. So thank you for sharing that. So one of the other questions that we get is, there's lots of challenges and there's opportunities for social sustainability. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. On what I just said in the previous question, I think it absolutely aligns that there is no doubt that 2020 has been a very challenging year for all of us around the world with COVID-19. We know, unfortunately, that there's a lot of social unrest in the US, and also, again, a global challenge is the world of politics and social issues that have really come to the surface this year. And as a company, Kemin is always trying to do our best to support our internal people and to make sure that we're providing support, because without our employees, we would not be able to serve our customers, and we really couldn't achieve our vision of transforming the quality of life around the world. And I think Kemin, being a company that's founded in not only science, but servant leadership, in these really challenging times, I think you can really see organizations and teams that rise to the challenge to support each other and the business and the customers. And I think Kemin has done an exceptional job of being nimble and quick to react to COVID-19 and some of the social challenges, and making sure that we are doing all that we can to be resilient as a company, but really support and make sure that our employees are resilient as well. Because at the end of the day, their health and safety is the most important. And we will continue to support our internal teams and our community, especially as we go on this marathon of a global pandemic and a very challenging year. But those traits have always been with Kemin.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. And while I was monitoring the chat, or the questions that were coming in, there was a question directed to me, and I think we have a couple minutes. I thought I might just have you answer it now. It was talking about more from a global perspective, what we're doing with other organizations. And I know one that came to mind to me, and I just thought that maybe it could be something you could expand on a little bit more, is our partnership with the World Food Program. Could you share a little bit more about what we're doing there?
Yes, the World Food Program is Kemin's largest global community partner. The World Food Program is an entity within the UN, and they serve more than 88 countries. It's a huge organization, and their number one focus is serving people in times of crisis and providing food and resources to them. So COVID-19 obviously has really exposed how important solving global food insecurity is. And Kemin has had a partnership with them for more than 20 years, not only from a monetary support, but most importantly, we have a few full-time scientists that work for the World Food Program, and they work on programs for food shelf life stability. So making sure if there's a product that needs to reach an at-risk population, let's say in South Sudan during a war-torn situation, that product is efficacious to feed those people, but also that it's able to be on a shelf or dropped into a war zone. And so our scientists work on everything from the food ingredients to helping the World Food Program with their packaging and the supply chain to make sure that food can reach those populations. And so it's a huge program. And last year alone, Kemin and our partnership with the World Food Program impacted 25 million lives around the world.
Wow, that's impressive. Very proud. Thanks, Lauren, for sharing that, and I appreciate you answering that question on the fly there. So I don't see any other additional questions at the moment for you, so I think we'll move on to John. Let me introduce John a little bit more here. He is our worldwide vice president of specialty crops, and he's going to be talking about one of I'm going to say one of his favorite, because it's one of my favorite crops. It's our unique spearmint that is grown in Indiana specifically for cognitive performance and focus. And so I brought John here to the conversation to answer some additional questions about sustainability and using this crop as an example. I did want to share a little bit about John, in the sense that he has plant breeders working with him, he has horticulturists, he has analytical and extraction chemists working on his team, we have research and field agronomists, and that entire group is innovating and developing plant-based molecules that we can bring to the market for beneficial human areas or conditions. So with that, John, I'm going to If you could, you're already on there. Great. Thank you. So the first question we have is, why should our customers care about this unique spearmint being certified sustainably grown?
Well, thanks, Kim, and hello, everyone. It's great to participate in this. You know, I think we live in a world today where sustainable practices are absolutely essential, and particularly, I think, the impacts on the environment. We're bombarded with all sorts of concerning news really every day on the impact that human life has on the environment. And I think it comes down really to all of us being a lot more aware of sustainable practices and making decisions every day in the sorts of things that we do and the sorts of things that we buy. Um, Now, plants, by definition, I think, are often considered sustainable, right? They use sunlight as a source of energy. They sequester carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, which is absolutely essential, again, in today's environment. And then in the case of the plants that are used for dietary supplements, for all sorts of other applications, they're able to biosynthesize these fabulously complex molecules that we can utilize in a variety of different applications. The thing is, I think we all recognize today, though, that there are still many ingredients that are actually sourced from the wild, and extraction companies will send out cheap labor out into those environments. They're given maybe a license to do that by the local government, and then they go ahead and they remove the biomass from that particular environment. They're often not allowed to go back into those environments for 1 to 2 years because of the impact that kind of practice has on the environment. And we decided, I think, many years ago that we would not do that, that we wanted to take a much more responsible action in terms of developing specific cropping systems. So one of the key things we do in sustainability is breed our plants. And we have some very talented plant breeders that get together. They increase the accumulation of these specific molecules in the plant biomass that we grow. And then we have specific cropping systems that we can put into place to produce those very, very efficiently indeed. And so we took that decision, we implemented these cropping systems, and then around about 2012, we decided that we wanted to be able to demonstrate, measure ourselves against sustainable practices. And so we went on quite a search for sustainable standards that we could measure ourselves against. So one thing is to call yourself sustainable. The other is actually to measure your practices against a well-designed and well-vetted standard. And that's what we did. We identified across a number of different organizations, SCS Global. They're based in Emeryville, California. They have what's called a Certified Sustainably Grown program. And so we began actually with our rosemary crop back really around about 2012 to put in place the Sustainably Grown program. And then we've rolled that out to a number of other crops, including spearmint. And this really allows us to measure and monitor the sorts of things that we do, not just to the environment, but economically to make sure that fair wages are being paid on the farm to farm workers, that they have the ability to operate in a friendly environment, and then also impacts on the social fabric. Obviously, we're working in rural communities to be able to impact those local communities by supporting specific events. And in the case of our mint that we grow in Indiana, there's actually a mint festival, a local mint festival that we've participated in many times and supported the local community in that way as well. So it all comes down to really choices, awareness of sustainable practices, choices that we have in decisions that we make, buying decisions, for example, to make sure that we're living a more sustainable life. And it's part of what Lauren said earlier on about a healthy planet, healthy people, and healthy business. Now, just to continue, Kim, briefly, the other component of that really is the impact on quality and consistency that the sustainable program actually has. So
That,
in our
and that's wonderful. So and that's exactly what I was going to ask, if you could lead right into that. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So obviously, when you put a program in place like that, we're able to essentially work with our family farmers across the entire production process. So, and it really begins right at the start with the breeding of these particular lines, in this case, KI 110 and KI 42, which are two very unique lines of spearmint. Both of these lines now are fully sequenced at the DNA level. We're growing them hundreds of acres on family farms. So we're working with farming families every day, which is an absolute delight. It's, you're working with the real foundation there of agriculture, and it's a fabulous experience and really quite a privilege to work alongside family farmers. And then we've developed a very unique drying process that allows us to capture these key molecules that we're producing in the plants very, very quickly, almost instantaneously, so that we maintain and we preserve the integrity of those molecules in the biomass ahead of extraction. And then we use a very gentle extraction process to actually remove those molecules out so that we can formulate them into new mentics. And so that sustainable practice, obviously guided by the guidelines, by the sustainable standard, results in a very low impact to the environment. It's economically viable for our growers, and it has a positive impact on the local community as well.
That's great, John. Thanks for sharing that. And when you talked about, it's a privilege to work with the farmers, I would say it's been a privilege to be able to take our customers out to our spearmint fields.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate everything that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So one of our questions that we get when we're actually doing those customer tours and have our customers out in those fields, which I would encourage those of you that are watching or interested to contact us and let us know if that's something you'd be interested in. But one of the questions we get is, and that I've heard from customers on those tours, is what's the most challenging aspect of getting our spearmint certified sustainable?
Well, that's a really good question, Kim. So we're working with growers and family farmers. They have their own farming practices. I must say that many farmers that really have sustainability. They may not talk about it specifically, but they are really stewards of the land and the environment. And in most cases, I would say they do pay particular attention to practices that really maintain the ability of that particular farm, the soil, the fields, the environment to produce crops. And so, they often don't realize it, but they are, in many instances, using sustainable practices generally anyway. But I think the most difficult thing, in terms of bringing to them an overlaying standard, was really trying to have them understand why we wanted to do this, what was important about it, and then for them to be able to dedicate the time and effort that goes into actually preparing for these audits. So we have audits by SCS Global every year, and they do require a tremendous amount of preparation. And it's not just preparation by our field agronomists and our sustainability coordinator who manages the whole practice, but it requires a lot of preparation from the farmers as well. And it took a little while, I would say probably 2 to 3 years generally, to get the consensus with our growers that this was a valuable thing to do. In actual fact, in many instances, it's improved the overall efficiency and cleanliness of the farms. We've actually implemented cleanup operations in some of our grower locations where we've removed debris, things that have been on the farm for a long time, and removed them off the farm and disposed of them properly. There's a general level of efficiency. We're monitoring diesel levels or diesel usage we use for the machinery. We're monitoring irrigation, the amount of water that we utilize. And so it's really brought a whole new level of efficiency. We've even had one grower actually that's become so in tune with this that he's actually wanted to get one of his other key crops certified sustainably grown as well, which is absolutely tremendous. So it's really developing a a whole process. It's convincing them, and that's been the time-consuming thing. But once that actually happens, I think all of our growing base basically have recognized the importance of that sustainability standard.
That's great. And so it sounds like not only do we have current farmers, but potentially others that are approaching for to be involved with Kemin, and I think that was really interesting about helping to clean up on the farms. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's great. So one of the other questions we have, and I think we have about 5 minutes left here, is, and I apologize there, I should have shared our certificate or our Kingfisher logo on the right, but we're going to go on to the last question that we had planned, is how does a consumer know that in this case our spearmint is certified sustainably grown?
Well, Kim, I think a lot of people today are aware of certifications, whether it's organic. They're probably familiar. I think many people are familiar because you see them in the grocery stores with organizations like Fair Trade, for example. And so those have become very, very commonplace in the grocery stores where we actually buy things. SCS actually has a logo. It's a Kingfisher logo that you showed there. I think it's a very pretty logo. That allows us to be able to utilize that on our marketing collateral, on our labels, in promoting our product. But I think it also allows our customers as well in their products to be able to make statements like made using certified sustainably grown spearmint. Those sorts of statements, I think, to consumers are incredibly attractive. As you mentioned before, the statistics in terms of awareness of sustainability and sustainable options. So I think that's one key avenue. SCS also has a particular logo. It's called Sustainable Choice. And again, it uses the Kingfisher component of that. And Sustainable Choice is again, a logo that can be used on our customers' products as they sell them. And that requires basically them to go through a sort of similar type of audit system to make sure that the final product that the consumer receives it really has included sustainably grown components. So that's another option as well. You mentioned customer visits, and one of the greatest things I think that customers can do is actually come to our fields. We've really enjoyed hosting those in the past, and we certainly hope to begin to do that again, hopefully in 2021. But to actually walk those fields, to chat with our growers, to ask them the same sorts of questions as you just asked me, to see the entire management program that's the basis for extracting these key molecules from the mint is critically important as well. So you can see for yourself the kind of sustainable practices that we utilize and implement. And it's really quite different. Even today, the way that we grow our mint is different than mint that's grown for oil extraction, for example, is grown and managed. So to be able to be on farm, we've had customers generate marketing collateral, videos, that then allow them to showcase the kinds of practices that we use on farm their consumers, their customers as well. So very exciting, and I would certainly encourage and would love to welcome anyone who would like to come and see our fields. I think people go away with a renewed sense of excitement on what's possible with plants as sustainable manufacturing vehicles for these really, really important molecules that are used in human health.
Great, thanks, John. And we have just a minute left. And one of the questions that came in, which I was thinking, you might answer it in that conversation, is, so where are these fields? Where are they grown?
Yeah, well, we grow in multiple locations across the United States. The spearmint fields themselves are located in Indiana. And the reason for that is that Indiana, the northern Midwest states, really back in the 1940s and 50s, were the center of mint production generally for use as a flavor. And whereas most of the mint production today has moved out into states like Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, There's still a remnant of the original mint production in the upper Midwest. And of course, that's very close to Iowa for us. So it makes all perfect sense. And many of these, actually most of these growers have been growing mint for generations and
So
really the 1900s.
yeah, thank you for that. And you can see the passion that this team has about not only our spearmint, but our commitment to sustainability. But we're out of time. So those questions we didn't get to, we'll respond to you because we have your contact information. So thank you, Lauren. Thank you, John. We appreciate your time and sharing more information about Kemin's sustainability program. Should you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me directly. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.